Well, first of all, what kind of mythical powers does a Sun Devil have? We got to consider that.
You all don't remember the Georgia Southern game, do you?
You know, I hope there's Bigfoot. I don't think there is.
Like rat poison. All right, so
It's Division One football. It ain't intramurals.
All right. Welcome back to the Hoppy Huddle podcast. My name is Jake. That's Ed. And today we are talking about conference championship weekend. We are talking about the college football playoff rankings reaction. We are talking about all the fallout that has ensued from it. And man, this is a serious day. I've got the hood up. We are also today holding a vigil with White Monster of the end of the bowls. I'm wearing my Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl official merch, and it is officially the end of the bowls. I'm here to call it. I've clung on as best I can. All right, I've held on tightly, and it is over, and it is a sad day, and we've got a lot to talk about.
Man, this has been – we thought last weekend was crazy with all the coaches. This weekend got even crazier, and there's so many layers that even bled into today and this evening. I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, we got to start, I guess.
Let's start with the games.
Let's start with the games, and then we'll get into the playoffs.
That's why we're all here, allegedly.
Yeah. But, man, it's just been crazy. So, all right. So, yeah, start with whatever game you want. It was quite a day. I'll start chronologically, maybe. Let's go there.
Start where?
Well, I mean, we can start with Friday. Was anything Friday night? I guess we watched,
Tulane won.
Tulane won. That was actually an entertaining game.
It was a good game. I enjoyed it.
The game.
There was some questionable officiating for sure, but
yeah, and we thought North Texas. I think we both thought North Texas would win that game.
Their offense is good enough.
Yeah, I think when the Hawkins, the running back, went out early, I think that really changed their offense.
Yeah,
he went out. They all of a sudden had to change things up, and they just couldn't keep pace with Tulane there. It was a fun game. It was Friday night.
Tulane's defense actually played pretty well. They got pressure. They played well up front.
So I thought that was a fun game to watch. I kind of was watching that. I was watching the JMU game. JMU game was actually, I thought this Saturday morning, I can't remember if I texted you. I texted a couple of guys I work with that went to JMU. I thought it looked pretty poorly for JMU. They could not put Troy away. They didn't look good. They kind of they put a couple touchdowns at the end. But I texted some guys Saturday morning that I work with, and I said, you know what? That's not the kind of performance you want if you want to make the playoffs. I mean, you don't have any Power 4 wins, and you really needed to beat Troy like 50-10. I mean, you needed a big victory, and that really wasn't it.
Luckily, they didn't need it.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But anyway.
All right. Now that we've completely tanked all of our search engine optimization in the first minute by talking North Texas, Tulane, and James Madison,
let's get to the bigger ones.
Let's get to the bigger games. I think we got to address the Buckeye in the room. And by the Buckeye in the room, I mean what the Indiana Hoosiers did.
Yeah.
This is, without hyperbole, the greatest college football underdog story in my lifetime and possibly ever. And what Curt Cignetti has done in Indiana, I saw a post comparing something here. There's always been this idea that to compete at a national championship level, you have to have at least 50% or close to 50% with a good quarterback of blue chip recruits. Right. And this has been a steadfast rule in college football for as long as recruiting has existed.
Yeah, it hadn't been there. This is you're talking about the blue chip ratio. And
it's been around since 2000.
Yeah.
My lifetime.
Yeah. But that's not forever, Jake.
And even before recruiting rankings, you had to have like the people who brought in these stacked talent classes to these major programs was the ones that competed for national championships. What Indiana has done here, so the picture here is Ohio State, their recruiting class. It's too blurry. You can't see it. But they had, and the total team composite, 11 5-stars, 56 4-stars, and 18 3-stars. This is including transfers, by the way.
Yeah.
Indiana, including transfers, has 0 5-stars, 7 4-stars, 55 3 stars, 20 no stars. Do you understand the magnitude? This is bigger than a 16 seed beating a 1 seed. This is bigger than Crystal Palace winning the Premier League. This is the greatest sports underdog story of my lifetime, and it's not even close. Indiana wasn't just a bad program. They were the worst power conference program by winning percentage in all of America. In the history of college football, the worst power program.
Yeah,
This
the
is
only
like
thing-
Iowa State. This is Vanderbilt had more historic success than Indiana.
Yeah, the only thing, Jake, I'll say is I think you can make a comparison to the success Bill Snyder had at Kansas State because he had to do that the old-fashioned way with recruiting. So, and it was Leicester, not Crystal Palace, but that's fine.
Did I say Crystal Palace?
You said Crystal
Leicester
Palace,
City.
Leicester.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. This isn't
Yeah.
a soccer show.
Yeah, we're not a soccer group. We're bad at soccer podcasts.
All right.
But I mean, I think you can make an argument. Kansas State was historically bad for a long time too, and Bill Snyder was the first coach ever to come in and had to build it the old-fashioned way. I think you can make a comparison.
Yes, this is true. But even those Kansas State teams, look, you're right. They,
Agreed.
This is
what
another
what
level.
Cincinnati has done in 2 years with the portal, with spending money. Indiana's opened
and
up.
yes, he used those tools, but
He used those tools. He went and got himself an NFL first-round draft pick quarterback this year. I mean, the big difference between this year's team and last year's team was Mendoza. I mean, he went on and got a first-round quarterback. That's the difference. I mean, this team is significantly upgraded at quarterback this year.
yes.
And whether or not that game was really interesting because I think we talked about it. Ohio State actually didn't run the ball terribly, but it was really. I thought Indiana's defensive line held up much better, especially in that second half. And I think we said it the other night, if you just get say into the fourth quarter, anything can happen. And he didn't quite have all the time he wanted to make the throws. I still want to understand why he wasn't in the game. What was it, the third down call or was it the fourth down call late in that red zone? They took Jeremiah Smith off the field. I don't know why he's ever off the field.
Yeah, I didn't understand that call at all.
But I mean, I think you got to account for him. But I mean, hats off to what Indiana's did. They've shown they can compete.
And they're not there yet, by the way. But what they have shown is they can win a national title this year.
They can. It's going to be it's going to be tough.
And by the way, they should be the favorite. I don't know if they are the favorite.
No, Ohio State's still the favorite.
I think if I were setting the lines, I would pick Indiana as the favorite. I saw
Ohio
them
State, I
play.
think, still a slight favorite.
I saw them play. I saw Indiana's defense hold Ohio State.
Yeah. We also saw Ohio State lose to Michigan last year and go on a streak. And it's not the same team.
This is true.
But I think what held up well, Ohio State's defense held up well. I think they just couldn't manage enough points. I still think those are the two best teams. And what I love is the way the bracket, we're going to get it jumping ahead here. That bracket breaks down is we don't have to see that again to the finals. I think we may end up seeing that again in the championship game. There's a real good possibility.
There really is.
They just look like the better teams. It was a great game to watch. I had two screens up. Obviously, I was watching another game as well. But
trigger warning, guys.
Yeah, trigger warning is right. But great game, great win for Indiana. Happy for them.
Big Ten champion Indiana Hoosiers. How about that?
Yeah, it's still pretty. Those two are pretty clearly your top favorites, and you get to Georgia, Oregon. And then
which is, by the way, that's insane that Indiana is a clear separated difference from Georgia, Oregon, Oklahoma, Alabama. Like,
well, they've earned it. They've earned it. But that's insane. That's insane. Yeah. So before we get to the other game, the game before at the SEC, that was hard to watch. I remember texting you at one point going, I'm going to put on a Hallmark movie or something. That was terrible.
Full transparency, I went out. I was not watching this.
Is that why you weren't answering? You weren't answering your text at one point.
No, I was out doing stuff.
It was terrible. So. It was. I mean, Georgia just took them to the woodshed.
And honestly, it was a good decision by me. It was my window. I had to go do some stuff, and yeah,
it was a horrible game. Alabama couldn't rush the ball. Georgia dominated both sides of the line. It was close because my criticism of Georgia, and I swear this is going to get them beating the playoffs, is they get too conservative offensively. And I still don't believe ultimately that they think
Bobo.
It's Mike Bobo, Gunnar Stockton. That combination is not going to score enough points in a big game, I think, to win them games deep in the playoffs. And with the bracket, I mean, yeah, they're going to get they got the luckiest draw between Tulane, Ole Miss, They're going to get Ole Miss. They may get to the semifinals before they really get tested.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about the playoff bracket in a minute.
But it was a good victory for them.
Yeah.
But Bama looked bad, and we'll get to the playoffs again selection a little bit. But Georgia,
I have a graphic to put up.
Okay,
for the
good.
Playoffs, so.
Complete domination by Georgia. And then the first game of the day, BYU gave us hope on the first drive.
As a great internet meme says, now let's see the unscripted drive.
Yeah, exactly. Because after that, it felt
they had a
apart.
great script coming. They had a great script coming to this game. Hats off to the Kalani that team for putting together that script.
It was like good crumble cookie. It tasted good for the first couple of minutes.
And then there was nothing after that. Texas Tech shut them down. I think genuinely Texas Tech is a competitor. Genuinely, I think Texas Tech is actually a competitor to win games in the playoff. And I think they have a good enough defense to do it. I still harp on the fact that I think Baron Morton, his decision making is their liability on offense. They're good everywhere else. I look, he has the talent and he makes incredible throws, and this is very clear. But like just a couple times a game, he does things where you're just like, what are you doing? And he did that against BYU, and it didn't cost him. But there were a couple scenarios where it could have cost him. Mm-hmm. And if he does that against a better team, I think it might. So,
but truthfully, I think they're just much better than they're going to have to get a little deeper in the playoffs before they find a team that they're going to have problems with. I don't think. I mean, they're clearly not going to have a problem with. Well, I mean, Oregon's going to be an interesting match if they get to, or if that's the way it works out.
Yeah.
We'll get to the bracket here in a few minutes. Anyway, all right, let's get to the night game. Gosh, Reed, I know.
I'm sorry, guys. Here,
let's talk about this. So I've never been a fan of Tony Elliott. I wasn't a fan the day they hired him. I don't think he's a good coach. I think there's a reason Clemson wanted to get rid of him. And it was abundantly clear Saturday night.
Why?
And so Virginia handled Duke pretty easily 3 weeks ago. So if you're coming off a rematch like that, you got to understand, you just can't show up and think the same thing's going to happen.
Change things.
And make
adjustments.
I swear Tony just thought he was going to roll out there and they were going to just kill him. And Manny Diaz was playing with house money. He didn't care. It's like, hey, we don't even belong here. Let's just go for it. I mean, the defense, and Greg McElroy pointed this out several times in the broadcast. I think, Reed, you were there. You couldn't hear it. But Greg's like, why are they in the kind of defense they're in? It's 3rd and 6, and they're playing like it's 3rd and 12. Oh, my gosh.
Bring a safety up in the box,
bring somebody
please.
Up. I mean, and they just it was the first series, and I was like, this game's over. I mean, they're not ready. They're not prepared. And they had nothing in the first half. They made some adjustments second half, but then they were behind. And then they waited to the end. They finally started opening things up offensively, and it was too late. And then you finally tie it up, and you go back to the same routine in the overtime. You literally let them just gash you down the middle of that one series. He kept running the ball every single time. And
then
just poor coaching. Well, it was a terrible play. The penalty hurt, and then you try to make it all up at once.
Bonehead penalty. By the way, that goes on coaching, by the way. Dumb penalties like that. That's on coaching.
It does. It does a little bit. And I question the penalty anyway. It was ticky-tack, but whatever. But Manny Diaz, maybe you should have gone for 2.
You should have gone for 2. In my opinion, I was screaming at the TV, go for 2. You're going to lose this game because of the way they've been playing. You do not want to get into overtime with that Duke team that was playing better than you.
They were just playing their play. They didn't play. They didn't care if they lost. They were
As a general rule, if you have to scrape to overtime, you probably should go for 2.
Yeah, and if you lose, you lose. You win, you win. But I think they put themselves in a bad position. They had to dig from behind. I just disappointed overall. They didn't get Taylor the ball in the first half at all. That was one big mistake in the first half. I don't understand it. And I think you blew your chance in an ACC title. You blew your chance. I was so mad.
You may never get it. It may be 20 years before Virginia gets another chance for an ACC title.
It's
the
just
ACC's still around.
We'll get to that later in the show. Just a horrible, horrible coaching job. And I blame that all on the coaching staff. I think they literally just thought they were going to go in there and run all over Duke again. And what a disaster. So then you're left with, okay, what are you going to do to the playoffs? And And this is where things got spicy.
Yeah. So, all right. Talk about the games. Let us pull up the college football playoff bracket. Okay. So, here's the playoff bracket. Here's what we have. And what we've got going on here. Let's see. Let's adjust a little. All right. So, your 1 seed, the Indiana Hoosiers, deservedly. 2 seed, Ohio State. I agree. 3 seed, Georgia. Agree. 4 seed, Texas Tech. Agree. Okay. The issue here is that you can't put Duke in. They're bad. They're not ranked. You can't put them in.
Time out. Let's stop there. They're the ACC champ, a Power 4 champ. You can say what you want. There's a big difference between the ACC and the Sun Belt. Okay. Now,
Duke lost to UConn.
Okay. They also have 8 Power 4 victories.
They lost to UConn.
I don't care. I don't understand how a team like JMU gets in with no Power 4 victories, a strength of schedule of like,
that's the other thing is JMU shouldn't get in. But
JMU
neither
shouldn't
should
get it. I mean, there's a flaw to this system to begin with. But if you've got to take a conference champion, then it doesn't matter how many losses they have. You should look at who's the better conference champion. And Duke was the better conference champion. Look at how many wins they had versus Power 4 teams. They didn't get to play. I had some JMU people text me. I'm going, well, hey, we're 12-1. Yeah, Duke would have gone 12-1 against that schedule.
They wouldn't if they lost to UConn.
Okay, UConn is a bowl team. Stop. UConn's not a bad team.
A bowl team against what schedule? It's the same argument.
But Jake, you cannot be serious. I mean, this is not they're not playing the same level of competition. This is division. This is the problem with the Power 4.
I didn't think we were going to argue about this point. I thought it was going to be another minute before.
This is the difference. There's a difference in the Power 4 and the Group of 5. And yeah,
I agree.
The American plays a pretty high level. I don't think we disagree that the American is the highest level in the Group of 5, and those teams can compete.
And every once in a while, the Sun Belt gets a good team.
Yeah, but the Sun Belt in general is not going to be competitive week in and week out. And don't tell me that Duke. Listen, I'm not trying to. I hate Duke. I can't stand Duke. And my gosh, if I see Cam Boozer highlights another single night, I'm gonna throw up. But I just get tired of this. The comparison that nobody wanted to make that argument, and it seems ridiculous.
Well, I don't think it's ridiculous because Duke, in a vacuum, is not ranked in the top 25. If you're not in the 25 best teams out there, I don't think you have any business being anywhere near a playoff.
Then write different rules. Your rules say the best conference champion.
That's why I ended my sentence. That I was going to say is that they have to change. They need to change something because they cannot be guaranteeing that they need a minimum of you must be in the top 25, or
well. And we all know why they did this. This is all to prevent lawsuits and antitrust. Anyway, of course
it is. Of course it is.
We're gonna skip it. I'm not gonna make any more Duke arguments because I don't really love Duke.
So number 5, Oregon. Number 6, Ole Miss. Number 7, Texas A&M. 8, Oklahoma playing number 9, Alabama.
All right, stop at Oklahoma. Man, you want to talk about a team that got no criticism on selection day. I mean, this is a team that doesn't even have an offense. I mean, I know they're a 10-2 team, but my goodness, I mean, we're giving BYU and Notre Dame a hard time, but we didn't put Oklahoma through that grinder.
I mean, we've seen one-sided teams before that are so good on one side of the ball they just make it.
It's just amazing that SEC patch. What that gets you? That just
Oklahoma always got that patch, even when they were in the Big 12. Don't give me that. It's Oklahoma.
But they won the Big 12, Jake. They would win the Big 12.
Yeah, this isn't Arkansas we're talking about with the SEC patch here. This is Oklahoma.
I get it, but they're not a conference champion. Why is their 10-2 that much different than BYU's?
They beat Michigan out of conference.
Michigan wasn't that great. Michigan
was decent.
Michigan was decent.
Right? They beat Alabama.
Okay, that Alabama win in that great either.
Okay, who else they beat? They beat some other good teams.
They've got the one victory. No, they lost to Ole Miss. Yeah, that's right. I'm just saying they did. They kind of skated through this whole. Alabama at least got a little scrutiny. Oklahoma got no scrutiny, and I don't really understand why. Because
I think because they beat Alabama and now
they lost to Texas.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Yeah.
all
Anyway,
right, we'll go on.
9 Alabama.
We'll come back to them. Put a pin.
We're gonna. Goodness gracious. 10 Miami. This was the real kicker.
Yeah.
11 and 12. Tulane James Madison.
No, we discussed this. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bama. So let's talk about that for a second. 2023 Georgia. They were 12-0. They narrowly lost the SEC championship game in a close battle. They dropped 4 spots in the rankings. 2025 Bama has been playing like dog crap the last month. They're 10-2. They get blown out in this SEC championship game. They don't drop a spot at all. That makes no sense. This committee, I mean, I've got more of these. This committee bent the rules for Bama completely. Every other time this has happened, BYU dropped. They kept arguing, hey, BYU lost. They've got to drop. I mean, everybody dropped, but Bama.
Yeah.
If Bama drops, they're not in this thing.
I agree.
This was, I mean, and nobody wants to talk about, nobody on that show talked about that Florida State loss. It's like they just waved a magic wand. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
This was, and Notre Dame, we'll get to Notre Dame later in the ACC. I want to save that for a little bit later. And Notre Dame should be in. I mean, listen, BYU,
I have no
Notre Dame,
pity for Notre Dame.
I don't have pity for Notre Dame, but when you stack up Notre Dame, BYU, Bama, Miami, you can make, there's cases for those. But Bama didn't get, they got, everyone else at least, Notre Dame stood on its record. Bama went out and got just beat badly, and Bama hasn't looked good for a month. The same arguments these teams want to make about how Notre Dame's playing much better at the end of the year, they don't give that to Bama. It's hypocrisy.
It is hypocrisy. The committee did this because the SEC is going to pull out next year if they didn't.
Let them pull out. Let the SEC go run their championship. Let the Big 10, the Big 12,
and then all these people in the suits lose billions of dollars.
I hope they do. Maybe that's what we need.
So I'm not going to defend their actions because it's ridiculous, but they're kind of put in an impossible situation where these guys are just athletic directors and players. Like, they don't have control over the sport. They don't have control over these backroom deals that get made. But it was pretty clear that the SEC was signaling, hey, if you leave Bama out over this and they lose, and by the way, was not surprised by this, because here's why. Because they did this, they set this up last week.
Yes,
they set this up last week. I was not surprised that they did this. It's completely ridiculous, and it's the SEC's fault. And it is exactly what everybody thinks it is.
Yeah.
But the reason they did it, the reasoning is that the SEC said, we will pull out if you do not do this.
That it's idle threats, because where are the SEC going to do? Because the SEC needs all these other teams. They can't go host their own tournament. Nobody will really could think that they're the sole national champion.
I don't know.
They do need the Big Ten. They need other teams. They need to pretend like they're better than everybody else, because you just can't have the SEC Invitational.
Yeah, and this is actually a theory I've been thinking about, is that these SEC programs, at least the top third, that all have national title expectations every year and are going to be unable to reach 10 wins because of the condensing of talent. I think that whenever the final form of the sport takes shape, they're going to bring in a couple of more teams just to have teams to beat up on, so they can gate off
North Carolina.
so they can gate off their conference and then still have these top tier teams with these title aspirations be satisfied with the wins, right?
Yeah.
And so I expect, it would not surprise me if the SEC added 4 more teams, and of a lower caliber.
Virginia,
North Carolina. I don't think they want to add Florida State or Miami, because those are higher potential caliber programs.
No, it'd be Georgia Tech, Virginia, North Carolina,
Georgia Tech,
Virginia,
NC State, maybe.
Yeah, who knows? But I mean, the Bama thing just irritates me to no end. But then, so So then you get to the fact BYU they dropped BYU.
Yeah, this is the real ridiculous part, by the
Yeah.
way. Bama got blown out by the number 3 team in the country. Fair. You know what? Fair. Number 3 team, blew them out. BYU, blown out by the number 4 team in the country. Fair. BYU drops. Bama doesn't. Exo facto explain. You can't.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, so BYU is a legitimate beef, and then that moves Miami up to a spot right by Notre Dame. Now you force the comparison.
Now, the whole thing, by the way, of they have to be next to each other so we can put. No, they don't. You made up these rules. These are made up rules.
They are.
The words that are coming out of the mouths of the people on television are fake. None of them mean anything. They are sounds put into an order to fill airtime to justify the contract that ESPN put on the college football playoff to then give viewership for to get ESPN's return on investment. The words mean nothing. They will put them in the order that they want them to, and they will say whatever and any words after that to after the fact justify their case. They don't stand by their principles. They don't have principles. There are no logical consistencies to be held to because they don't believe in that. The only thing they believe in is the almighty dollar, your eyeballs on the screen, and your clicks and tweets and impressions in the algorithm. So there's nothing for them to stand on except for their pile of money, basically.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting was then at 24 hours or so before is Miami went full on offensive. Mario Cristobal was talking to anybody and everybody. He was going on Andy Staples' show Saturday afternoon. He was lobbying hard, which was very different from where they approached it last year. So there was a big blitz on to get Miami, and Notre Dame didn't quite have that blitz going. So, and I don't know how much that really impacts it, but it caught wind.
It doesn't. Here's why.
Well,
because
I don't know.
No, because ACC, say what you will, it is one of the power conferences that signed onto this playoff agreement. If you leave out Miami was in because Duke lost, because they will not leave a power conference without representation in the field, because then the ACC will just be like, all right, we're going to join the SEC and make our own playoff, and you guys can go screw it. They'll just leave. They'll just pull out. They get no money. Like they will. The ACC, they can't hold up the playoff, but they can pull the Jenga blocks out from underneath and blow it up if they're not involved, right?
Yeah.
And
I think as soon as Duke won, I thought Miami was assured because
as much as the Big Ten and the SEC run the show, the ACC and the Big 12 could still pull the rug out for everybody. If they can take their cake, they can smash, they can knock over the tower. I'm using a lot of weird analogies here. I don't know what I'm saying. They can flip the board and go home. They can't win, but they can flip the board and go home.
Yeah. So, all right. So Miami gets in, and now we got the bracket. And the interesting thing about the bracket, and you still got it up there, I almost thought it was kind of funny. I thought they could have flipped it a little bit, maybe dropped Alabama down and given us a Alabama A&M showing in Miami, Oklahoma. I thought that
I kind of don't like the rematches they all hooked up. Like,
I think they gave us a terrible first round. Honestly,
I was kind of annoyed. Like, flip them a little bit. Like they make up the rules anyway. Well, give us Tulane, Oregon, and give us Alabama A&M and like, what are we doing all these rematches? We got two rematches in the first round.
Yeah, and Tulane, Ole Miss. Even with Lane gone, I don't think we expect that to be much of a game. Alabama, Oklahoma. We watched that game 3 weeks ago. It wasn't a very good game. There may be snow in Norman. I expect Alabama. We'll preview all these games next week. James Madison, Oregon. My gosh, Oregon might score 70 against them. That is not going to be a good game.
Oh, that's going to be just atrocious.
The only good game is going to be Miami A&M, and I think we'll break that down next week. That has potential. If you're Indiana, you really like how it's set up, and I think if you're Georgia, I think those are the teams that seem to like their paths to the semifinals. I don't love Ohio State and Texas Tech's paths, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that's just kind of how the bracket works.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Ohio State, do you really? You don't want to get a hot Texas A&M team, or you really don't want Miami. Miami's super talented. I mean,
Do you really want to be blocking that Miami D line? Because
No,
I think Miami might have the best D line in the country, and Indiana got pressure on you, and Indiana's D line is really good and is one of the best in the country. But Miami's absolutely at Indiana's level on the D line.
At Texas Tech, I mean, you get Oregon in an Orange Bowl. Yeah, that's a big game, but Oregon's talented. I mean, so there's going to be some interesting matchups there, I think, potentially in the second round. But yeah, the first round is leaving us a little bit to be desired. Thankfully, I got a Christmas party one of those nights, and it's the night of the James Madison Oregon game. I'm not going to worry too much about missing that one.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be dialed in, but
yeah, you'll probably be home with me or home. I'll come back from the party or whatever, and you can give me an update.
Yeah.
So anyway, we thought it was over. Everybody's rumbling yesterday, and then today happens.
Yeah. All right. So, I've been at work all day, and so I've kind of followed some of this, but essentially Notre Dame opted out of their playoff game of their bowl game, and a couple other teams followed suit, including Baylor, or a couple of the teams that were offered spots declined. And then the real hammer dropped, which is through leaks, we've kind of figured out that Notre Dame is planning on an early exit to its scheduling agreement with the ACC, possibly.
We don't know that.
We don't know that, but they publicly said that they are permanently damaged their relationship with the ACC. That is what the Notre Dame has publicly indicated to real sources. And they have that scheduling agreement, and the permanently damaging the relationship with the ACC. That means the scheduling agreement. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Reading between the lines. So what does this mean for realignment, for Notre Dame's scheduling, for the future of college football? You can go in a million directions with this.
Well, a couple of things. So they made those statements today. I think he went on Dan Patrick's show, the AD for Notre Dame, made that statement, and basically the world blew up today. First of all, they don't want to play in the bowl game. Fine. I mean, they're killing the bowl system. Everyone else is trying to kill the bowl system. I think you're right. The bowl system's on its last breath. It's kind of like the movie theaters. They're kind of it's a dying industry.
And I will still support movie theaters until they're all gone.
Exactly.
I love going to the movies. You can't convince me otherwise.
But Notre Dame crying about this. First of all, you lost to Miami. Win the game. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, Notre Dame complaining is like the side chick who complains when the husband is going to spend the holidays with the wife and kids. I mean, come on. Seriously. You can't. I mean, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, you know what? You can't have. First of all, the ACC has a responsibility to its football members to advocate for the football
You're not
members.
in the ACC. You want the ACC to advocate for you? Join the ACC.
Exactly. And in the nerve of Notre Dame, they bailed you out in 2020 when you had nobody to play and they got nothing in return. You made the playoff that year because of it. And now the gall that you have to ask them for favors, Notre Dame, kick rocks. Go find somebody else. ACC, you deserve better. I know you're going to die, ACC, but die with some pride, okay?
What pride? Did you see them play football this year?
Well, okay, all right, whatever. But come on. This is ridiculous. Notre Dame, this is the reason why I hate that school. They think they haven't won a national championship since 1988. I mean, go take your Cold War trophy and go back to South Bend where it's cold. I don't care. You guys are losers, and I don't care who you play. Good luck. And let me tell you what, you think you're going to get a scheduling agreement with the SEC? Good luck with that. You think they're going to a 9-game schedule. You think all of them are going to enter in a scheduling agreement with you? Get out of here.
They already got that game with Clemson for 12 years.
Well, I'm talking about the SEC. You think who's going to play Notre Dame?
Let me tell you who's going to play. They're going to do the Big Ten, and if the Big Ten says no, you better believe Brett Yormark is hopping.
Well, yeah,
on
the
that.
Big 12 will jump on board.
You better believe Brett Yormark would love nothing more than to have that scheduling agreement with Notre Dame.
Maybe so, but the ACC has gained nothing from that. Zero. It has not helped them at all. So
I think the ACC has gained some.
I don't
They've
think
got
so.
some.
I-
Those Notre Dame Clemson games were pretty good.
That's fine. Who cares? Clemson could go replace it with someone else. Clemson's not afraid to play anybody. I just Notre Dame. I've lost all respect for them after today.
Yeah. Now this goes on the Notre Dame athletic director, who I think is used to having power with the commissioners, which is kind of insane. But now I still like Marcus Freeman. You can't convince me not to like him. I think he's
a cool guy. He'll be
he's
the
a great guy.
New York Giants head coach soon.
Yeah. Well, if it goes there, I'm not rooting for him. But I like Marcus Freeman. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good guy. And you can't. So there's that. But I agree with you about Notre Dame, the arrogance of the Notre Dame athletic program to walk around like, hey, you had a pretty easy schedule and you had 3 tough games. You went 1-2. Sucks.
Yes.
Right?
Win your games.
You know what happened last
year?
year?
Next year? Their schedule next year is even easier.
You know what happened last year? You went 11-1. And what happened? You made the playoff.
Yeah.
Right? Go 11-1 again, and you're in the playoff. It's pretty simple. The formula for Notre Dame to make the playoff without a conference championship, by the way, and this is also the formula for most teams is either go undefeated or go 11-1 with good wins. Right?
You go 10-2. You're dealing with Alabama.
You're putting it up. You're throwing the ball up in the air and letting people hit it. Like you're.
And then you better have. And you've heard 10-2. You better have that SEC patch. Maybe that Big Ten patch.
Or a couple of good wins and not the losses.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the committee has shown that they value good wins over, quote unquote,
and
bad losses.
Notre Dame's best win was over USC.
That was their only good win. Was over
only
USC.
good win. Yeah.
And don't give me ranked Navy, okay? Yeah, Navy was ranked that week, but that's a different level of team.
Yeah,
they didn't finish the season ranked. They're not that level. The biggest thing is if we're debating which team is the playoff, it's supposed to be the best teams, right? This is what they always say, right? It's not the most deserving. It's not the resume. It's what the best teams are, right? The 12 best teams or the 10 best teams. Well, you know what? How do you find out which team is the better team? You play a football game and they go against each other. And what did Notre Dame and Miami do this year, Dad?
They played a game.
And who won that game?
Miami did.
There you go. Your answer solved. Congratulations. You figured out which one of them's a better team because they played. Yeah.
But to act like such babies is incredible from an institution that's a fine academic institution. Whatever. Kick rocks.
I'm fully convinced that Michigan would be the exact same way if they were independent, by the way. And
absolutely. Yeah.
There are a couple other teams that I'm pretty sure would act just like. By the way, I don't blame Notre Dame for acting like that. I think they're wrong for it. But if my school was independent like Notre Dame, I'd do the exact same thing. So I don't.
Well, I mean, say you're disappointed. If you're Notre Dame, why don't you try to do something about it?
You know what? A good example for this, by the way, on how to react when left out of the playoffs is what Clark Lee said. I don't know if you saw this.
I didn't see his quotes.
Clark Lee, Vanderbilt 10-2. You could make an argument that they should be up there if not for the Vanderbilt logo. Like what they're 10-2. Other 10-2 Alabama, Oklahoma, like they're up there. I know they lost to Bama, but Clark Lee and Vanderbilt said, hey, we had our opportunities. We played Texas. We played Bama. We lost those 2 games. If we had won one or more of those games, we would have been in the playoff. We could have settled it on the field, and instead you leave it in the hands of a committee, and that's on us to do better next year.
Yeah. And
that's the response if you're on the bubble. Because really, if you're in the 9, 10, 11, 12 ranked teams and you're debating about all this, you could have been higher. You could have there's nobody that's like 11, 12 that's like, well, we went undefeated and we're number 9. Like, no. Okay. No. If you win you play in all your games and you win them all, you're going to be easily in the playoff. No question. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you lost the game and you leave it up to the committee.
Yeah. You're right.
You don't deserve to compete for a national title with 2 losses. That never happens before. Now we're expanding that opportunity and it's a bonus. It's not a right.
And we're gonna get, next year we're gonna get a 16-team playoff next year. There's gonna be no buys.
I don't know. I think it might be 2 years.
Well, they got to make a decision by January something, right? January
Right, but
20th or
I
something.
think the fact that they did the SEC thing for Bama, I think they might just let it slide one more year and not deal with the hassle of having to.
Well, they still have time. They have time to do it before next
They
year.
have time, but I'm not sure that they have never acted in a fast, efficient, and well-planned manner before. So I don't have faith that they'll be able to get that deal done before next year.
Yeah, I think
More
they're
just on the inefficiency of their system.
Yeah, I think they'll get to 16, but we'll see. We'll know late January where this thing goes.
And I think we should just go to 8, but
that you're not putting that genie back in the bottle. So
no.
So why don't we break down the games next week and give our playoff predictions in next week?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think we have time to really do it tonight. So
yeah, one quick thing. We never really did talk recruiting. And so I just want to touch on that. We got a couple minutes here towards the end of the show.
Yep.
So recruiting, this is the first news and national signing period, which is 3 days now, was last week. Or was it 2 weeks? No.
Last week.
Teams all signed. This is the first year since 2006, I believe, when Texas had the number 1 class, that the number 1 class did not go to an SEC team or Ohio State.
Yeah, pretty crazy, isn't it?
And it went to the USC Trojans. And congrats on them, by the way. This was a pretty volume-loaded class. They signed 35 players. Which is insane, by the way, but with the transfer portal, you can do that. So number 1, the exact ranking will vary, but the clear number 1 was USC, Notre Dame 2, Oregon 3, Bama 4, Georgia 5, Ohio State 6, Tennessee 7, A&M 8, Miami 9, and Texas 10. That's your top 10 recruiting rankings. Some of the key players, number 1 overall player, Lamar Brown, signed with Lane Kiffin at LSU. Miami, again, kept up their streak of signing the number 1 offensive tackle in the country, Jackson Cantwell. And a big one, by the way, I'm using On3 for this, but you can the rankings vary a little bit between the services, but these are some notable players. The difference between 1 and 3 is not much. The difference between 1 and 30 is. The big one, though, Jared Curtis signed with Vanderbilt. Some argue the number 1 quarterback in the country, number 3 overall player. He's a 5-star, consensus 5-star from Nashville, signed with Clark Lee and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Huge get for Vanderbilt. And one trend that we've kind of noticed this year across the board is that because of revenue sharing and because of NIL, the talent acquisition we always saw that the talent acquisition after high school, we saw immediately that spread out, right, between the transfer portal and second and third stringers trickling down to the smaller schools. But this is one of the first years that we've seen the high school talent spread out and flatten the curve between the programs in such that let me list all the teams that signed a 5-star this year. This is going to blow your mind. LSU, Miami, Vanderbilt, Houston, Maryland, Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, Tennessee, Texas Tech, Oregon, Notre Dame, Alabama, USC, Washington.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's insane. Georgia. That's insane. That's like 12 or 13 different schools signed a 5-star recruit. That's unprecedented. Usually these guys are concentrated within the top 10 classes, even more so the top 5. So that talent is spreading out, especially the high end. What we're figuring out is that with the right resources and a targeted local recruiting, smaller or mid-tier programs can afford to focus in and get one 5-star or one top 100 player, right? And so schools like Utah, which signed, by the way, Utah signed the Kelvin Abbott, who is a 33 player, barely outside the 5-star. He's a top 50, top 35 overall player. an offensive tackle. They signed him. He's at that level, right? Mississippi State signed they flipped Womack from Auburn. He's almost a 5-star, depending on the service, right? BYU signed Ryder Lyons, a 5-star by some services. So a lot of if local targeted recruiting and a focused NIL program and an organized program, a lot the high-end talent can be spread out more between these schools. Big day for Texas Tech, big day for Washington, signed a 17 overall class for Washington. They're really building there. That's impressive. Washington, it's hard to get talent there. It's not, they have some talent in Seattle area, but it's pretty far flung, and they don't have the Nike money like Oregon does. So good classes for everybody in the top 10. Michigan and Florida kept the class together despite the new coach. Auburn did not. Other notable things inside the top 30, Texas Tech signed 2 5-stars and 5 top 100 players. That's huge for them. They signed Felix Ojo and the defensive edge rusher. Clemson way down the rankings at number 19. They've fallen off from their peak. They're no longer competing for top 5 classes. Surprisingly, with how many? 49 overall recruits. West Virginia comes in at number 20. Rich Rod, man, they just completely flipped that program with high school. We've seen a lot of guys flip a team with the portal by bringing in a whole bunch of players. Rich Rod is basically said, I'm bringing in 50 high school players and we're going to build. And I'm sure that his thought process is a lot of those guys are going to filter out, but a couple of those guys are probably going to pop. If you bring in 50 players in one class, there's pretty good odds that a couple of them are stars. That's a huge win for West Virginia and their rebuild. BYU, pretty nice class for the Big 12. They started to really spend some money. Ole Miss, they lost a couple of guys, but they kept a lot of the guys. They're only in 24, so not quite where they were. But other improvements. Indiana moved up to 31, which is pretty good for them. And James Franklin and Virginia Tech at 27 after basically having not a ton coming to Virginia Tech. They did a pretty decent job there. So, yeah, that's kind of the major notes from recruiting. I would say just noteworthy, those guys in the top 10. Tennessee had a pretty good year. These are some guys that, look out for could be competing for the national title here soon. Again, Florida State, 14 is not bad for Florida State, but not quite recruiting to their potential there. And that seems to be kind of consistent. Also notably, Oklahoma down to 17. So, that's kind of the way recruiting shaked out this year. It was pretty interesting, especially, rough day for Baylor, lost a lot of guys. Rough day for Auburn, lost a lot of guys. But, that's kind of expected for Auburn with losing your head coach. Not expected with Baylor. Every team that fired their head coach or should have fired their head coach, with the exception of Florida, had rough days in the recruiting trail, which is to be expected. But that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, you want to know who the national title contenders are going to be the next couple of years? Look at the top of the recruiting rankings. That's all you got to do. Except maybe not, because Indiana is running for the title. You never know what they'll do in the portal. You never know. So, all right.
Well, we'll be back next week. I don't know what night, maybe Monday or Tuesday night, Jake?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We're going to go to a once-a-week kind of schedule now that the season's over for the most part, and then maybe in the off-season a little less frequently than that. But
we will have our monster playoff preview next week.
Yes, we're going to break down the games. We're going to break down the scenarios. We're going to pick our brackets. We're going to do everything. And
fade Jake as usual. So.
Of course, fade Jake. And make sure to tune in the live chat. We'll be taking questions about the playoff and our predictions, hypothetical matchups, all that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate you for tuning in live, our live viewers. And make sure to like and subscribe, share the channel, and give us all that engagement. So Thank you so much for watching.